Hello everyone and welcome back to another altered video. Today we've got a Sigismar Redux. Actually started drafting a deck update for this one a little while ago, and then the Whispers of the Maze ban announcement came out and Baba Yaga was promptly removed from the card pool for now. Hopefully they're back. I've got three of the Kickstarter versions of that one that I like to look at. So hopefully we get that one back. Um, this one's a bit of a special one. Want to welcome someone to the Altered community, a friend of mine, um, a local, and they've said that they wanted to play Sigismar, so I thought it was about time we featured it on the channel again. Um, so with Baba Yaga out of the card pool, we've had to try and replace the card draw in the deck. We've gone about that with Gift of Self. So sacrifice a creature. If you do, draw two cards. Had a chat with somebody after buying some cards, and they were so kind as to nominate this as a option for the deck. If you're ever losing an expedition, you can freely get rid of a card at the end of your turn with 2 mana spare. You can do so in order to refill your hand. Obviously, you don't, getting the body on the board with Baba Yaga and drawing one card. It's arguably better than Gift of Self, but seeing more of our cards is always good. We've gone through as well, we've maxed out on the Foundry mechanics, 3 Orders Carriers, 2 Monoliths. We'll see how that goes. Monolith as a card you don't want to see two of too early on in the game. Thought cutting down on that one and filling that spot with something else was advisable. Very low to the ground sort of deck today. No creatures over 3. Cure, we've seen this one before, makes 2 tokens if you have 3 or more characters on the field. Doesn't cost you anything and is mana positive out of hand, and you got to sacrifice a creature when playing it from reserve, and it's more expensive. So, using that as a nice one-off will be good to try and win or turn some expeditions and get a bit ahead that way. The Alchemist as well, 3 mana, you get 3/3/4 worth of stats in the expedition with the 2 Orders recruits. You always control a token, unless someone is ridiculously proactive with their card removal on your first token, and the option to put a card from hand in reserve as well. That giving something fleeting, it's mostly flavor text, can potentially come up, but that's not why we're playing the card. Additionally, no copies of Orders Trooper, so we're playing away from our stats a little bit, really gunning towards one of those charges as a way to finish a game or win some expeditions, giving everything boost, just putting some fatties on the board. We did have some copies of Rare Orders Trooper in there. We've replaced them with the Gatekeepers for now, go up the curve a little bit. See how that goes. Ozma's back in. Field reinforcements are out. So we'll see how she runs with the resupply instead of the card draw. I'm expecting it to be a bit of an issue if we're playing her from hand early on, because obviously putting an extra card in reserve, so she'll fill up the reserve even if everything else goes away. So anything else on the field of yours that goes to reserve will mean you have to discard something. So it does curb the power of that card a little bit. And finally, I wasn't ready to say goodbye to Grandma, so we've found a copy of Baba Yaga in our uniques. 3 mana for a 3/0/3. Obviously not ideal turn 1, which is, a really good time to play the rare Baba Yaga. But putting a card from hand into reserve to draw a card seems reasonable, and getting an extra Ordis recruit as well. Always, putting extra bums in seats. Big fan of that. Um, yeah, nice one, straightforward. Welcome to Tom. Big fan of your work. Hope you stick around. Hopefully this is a nice showcase of what I think a good Sigismar deck is for you. But yeah, finally, before we get into the games, I think I'm going to make it a bit of a tradition that whenever we hit subscriber milestones, that's when we're going to feature Siggy in particular. So we did recently pass 10 double figures. Always a nice benchmark to set early on. Uh, Hoping to keep it going, but consistent uploads is the key to that. All right, there you go. That's the deck. We're going to jump into game one, see how we do. Alright everyone, here we are, game one with our updated Sigismar and Wingspan list. Let's see how it goes. Got a bit of a chance to look through everything here. We've just done the deck tech though, and we're straight into it, up against Navenka and Blotch, one of our favourites as well. Alright, let's see what we've got here. Sticky Note Seal is one of our 2 outs to a Lyra Festival, so we'll probably have to hold on to that one, unfortunately. Just in case, if we get any indication that they're not on that sort of list, we'll probably get rid of that one. What can we do as our turn 1 play? Maybe if we Runescribe plus a 1-drop, we're going to end up with 3 cards in reserve. So we might not want to do that, though it is potentially our best chance of getting something into play. I think we'll have to say bye-bye to the teamwork training. We're already keeping Sticky Note Seal and we want at least 2 creatures. I like the idea of the Foundry mechanic. I think we'll keep the Rune Scribe as a way to dig through a bit more of our deck, and we'll just we'll hold off on playing the Foundry mechanic if we get the indication that they're not going to need to. We're not going to need to play it. It's good to be back, I must say. Alright, let's threaten on both sides. We'll resupply. We got a teamwork training. That's pretty good. We'll see what they want to do with their card. The remaining 2 mana. Roll a 3, gets a boost. Alright, we could go up here because the Foundry mechanic would guarantee us being able to move forward, but then we would have to get rid of a card as well, so I think we'll just play it a little bit slow. Getting rid of the Monolith Rune Scribe is not too stressful an issue for us. However, I think keeping extra cards in hand against someone who's got access to draw like that, obviously Magical Training's not going to be good unless they can put it back in hand, but we want to stay as even on cards as we can. Alright, we got a Kuat and an Ozma. Can we trigger the Ozma this turn? 3 or more other characters we resupply. We can't do that. I believe we're better off keeping our options open. If we play the Rune Scribe over here, it's highly likely they could, with the Trickster, stop us from advancing. Although if they get a 4 here and then add an extra boost, that happens anyway. But I think we're going to contest here, see what they plan on doing. do get the 4, which means there's no point in us playing our Foundry Mechanic except to put it into reserve in case we draw. I'm actually thinking we play a bit aggressive here. Get rid of that, let them do whatever they want with the rest of their turn. They might stop us. They definitely have the mana for it. Just see what they want to do. Perhaps if that was going to be our line, it might have been a better idea to play the Rune Scribe on the other side. They get a Mage Dancer. Let's read what this one does. Roll a die. You may have target character other than me lose fleeting. I'm going to get the magical training back to hand. We'll pass turn, they'll magical training. And I'm going to assume that they shall try and buff the Mage Dancer. We are praying for a 1. Oh, 2 Order Spies. Not going to be the most efficient use of our mana. However, if they do give us a window, we'll get rid of one of them. Still haven't seen anything that indicates they're going for a Lyra Festival win. None of the creatures or the cards seem to indicate as such. They are getting pretty good value out of that magical training. So what we're going to do, we'll Order Spy, get rid of their Mage Dancer. The only thing we really have as an option would be to play the Foundry Mechanic here. I might consider doing that. If I had it here, Gift of Self would have been really good. Draw 2 cards and get rid of our useless little token. Got 2 Hathors, that's disappointing. They'll try and buff the Hathor on our side. They roll a 1. And they can put the magical training back in their hand. They have got good value out of that card. Alrighty, there we go. We did get the Orders Carrier and a Foundry Mechanic. I think it's about time we get rid of this sticky note seal. If they surprise us with it, they surprise us with it. Not much we can do. So, what can we get done here? 6 mana. 1, 2 for the Order Spy. 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, actually. 5. What are the odds that they have landmark removal in hand? Do we try and bait with the Kuot? I think we do, and perhaps we should have played it over this side because we've got slightly more efficient power in blue. So playing Kuot on the opposite side maximizes how many stats you can get on board, or relevant stats that is. Now this is a situation where we really would have liked a monolith in play already. Obviously would have lost out on tempo, and the deck's sort of trying to toe the line between tempo and those landmarks. It's not central to our strategy, but it is obviously a very good one. Let's see, Snowball Commando. What happens here? Give something... Ah, interesting. If they have another one, they can actually take us off our orders carrier. So I think we'll use the support ability here. We'll play our carrier for next turn. Yeah, we definitely should have played Kuot on the other side. That's okay. Because had we done that, we actually would have been in a slightly better spot. I think we still would have ended up tying on or losing out on that one. But at least we've got some got a plan moving into next turn. Snowball Commando only exhausts from hand, so they might think about holding on to the Hathor till next turn to put it in there and keep our Order Spy. Off you go. I'm going to draw another card. It's a bit of an Izmir deck in disguise, isn't it? It's alright. We've stayed ahead, but we're getting free stats on board. I actually think we want to get rid of our unique here. He's good for one turn, not so good on the snapback. Purely because you have to sacrifice a creature and he costs more. Really good way to end games, and get a little bit ahead. Getting a double advance in the mid game with him, and you really only need one or two other creatures, is a good way to press an advantage, but we'll see what they want to do here. One, two, three, four, five. We actually don't need to play anything here because we have enough mana to cast everything. Obviously, if they exhaust something or sabotage, we lose out a little bit. Okay, this is good for the Snowball Commando. So we'll play... We'll play the Foundry Mechanic. We're going to aim to play the Ozma early so that if we do resupply something, we do get a chance to play it. And her plus the Order Spy uses 4 of our 5 remaining mana, so we've got the chance to use the Ratatotska as well. Obviously it's dependent on what our opponent wants to do, but we'll deal with that as it comes to it. Their name is Ew. Just straight Ew. I guess Ew 28 was taken. Alright, if they do end up... Okay, they didn't exhaust our Order Spy. But I kinda want to keep a little bit mana behind. We'll see what we get. Another Order Spy. Interesting. We really could have used that sabotage, actually. It's alright. guess it insulates against sabotage here. They can't keep us off making an extra token. Although a charge would have been nice. So that's what we're really playing towards here. Pushing and trying to get as many creatures on board as we can in order to... Okay, when you roll one or more die, gain a boost for each card in your reserve. So that's huge. Roll a die on a 4+ when you return a spell from reserve. So what can they do? They can roll one die, potentially plus another one. So that's 2, 4... Wow, that thing's actually getting huge. I think we have to contest anyway. If they have something that rolls a die from hand, I believe we just lose this one. Because they can get... Well, if they put a boost on the commando... Okay, so there's a small misplay they could make, I suppose, if they actually target the mage dancer. There's the croupier. Rolls a die. What does playing the Ratatotska do here? They've seen all 3 Order Spires, so we have no more sabotage in play. So what I'm expecting out of our opponent is to roll Nevenka and Blotch, targeting the Trickster. And what that'll do is, no matter what, they get an extra 2 boosts. Actually, potentially 3. So we'll pass the turn here. We'll just let him go. What do they target? They target the Trickster. So even if it had been sent to reserve, they still would have won the expedition. Good on them for seeing that one. So we desperately need a teamwork training. The Orders carry is not going to do us any favours here. Check our mana. There's a teamwork training in there from the start of the turn. We've also used 1, so we are playing to a 1 out of here. Although if we do get that off of our Ozma resupply, we're in pretty good nick. I assume they're going to try and protect that for a little bit, having seen all 3 Order Spires and no other sabotage out of us. Orders Trooper is also a poor shout. Have to play that one from hand, unfortunately. The unique version we have to get the boost. Is deciding. We're behind on mana, which is a bit of a struggle. Thankfully, we have ways to use our mana and potentially some of the extra stuff that comes out. curious to know what our opponent is deliberating on. Off you go. That makes sense. They can actually bounce it back to hand as well. So play Ozma on the hero side. Sticky Note Seal doesn't help us. That's a shame. I wonder if their hand is full of spells. I think we'll play the Ratatotska here. We want that one in reserve for next turn anyway. And I feel like it's a bit of a risk to pass here. If our opponent has a dice roll from hand, again, same story as last turn. They can buff the Mage Dancer out of range. Risk-free. Yep, they've got one. And as that is the case, they can't use anything out of reserve anymore. So we'll just pass. Hopefully they don't get a... what? 0-3-2? That's fine. They lose the Mage Dancer. That would have been really strong in the tiebreaker, so we're happy to see the back of that. Send the off you go. Still interested in drawing cards, surprisingly. They must have something in hand for that. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so if we put nothing... Okay, so we can either put nothing in hand, and then we would have the chance to play a Alchemist with its extra ability from hand, as well as the Ratatotska and the Rune Scribe, because that's 8 mana, 3 plus 3 plus 2. We can't do that. Okay, if we don't get rid of the Foundry Mechanic. I was thinking about keeping the Foundry Mechanic because it's more efficient on stats for the mana you get, but I believe drawing one of our charges here actually does a lot of work towards winning us the game. Do they have a Sabotage? What I'm hoping to see here is that they actually feel like they have to dig towards it. So if they magical training and give us an opportunity, there's actually a pretty good chance that I just end up hitting it. Alright, they've given us the shot. Would put 5 stats on this side, so there'd be 3 behind. Have to try and find some way to win on this side too. Obviously they don't have sabotage in hand, or they would have used it on the charge. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to not maximize the amount of stats we get out of it. Obviously just having this in hand would have been a bit of a game changer. They're drawing towards something. They got 4 mana, which is enough to win on one side. So we should at least be able to force a tiebreaker here, in which case our Alchemist will be pretty good. If they have their standard rate of stats, 1 per mana invested, they'll be able to win on the hero side. We'll just have to go and see what we can get done. We get to keep the Alchemist for next turn. So they can put an extra stat on here. So they only need to get 2 stats in brown out of their hand. That seems achievable to me. It's interesting to note as well that we have the same number of cards in reserve. They've got 3 more cards in hand, and they've got 3 less cards in deck. So despite the fact that they were doing a really good job cycling their magical training in and out of hand, drawing a lot of cards, we have mostly managed to keep up. I think only being 3 cards behind so soon after the Baba Yaga ban is actually not a bad shout from us. Alright, so we've got some extra stats on board. We've got a bit of a head start, so we should be favoured here. They are not the cards we wanted to see. So this is useless, which is thoroughly disappointing. And unfortunately, we didn't get one of these earlier in the game. That would have probably skewed the match in our favour. Let's see if they have the Cloth Cocoon. They've got a Martingale. The only thing we can really afford to do here, we'll gain our boost, make 2 more tokens. We have to pass on that because we don't have another card in hand. We should have... We could have had an extra 2 power on board. I'm a fool. That's disappointing. I think we clicked through that a little bit too quick. We have to pass. We could have kept our other card in hand. So what are we at the moment? They're at 14, we're at 31. 17 is the difference. They've got 6 on board, plus another 3 somewhere if they get their Navenka Blue. So they've got 9. They've got to make up a difference of 5. Oh. We would have won. Oh my god. Oh well. That's a learning experience. Um, Truly unfortunate. But that's why we play. We give them a GG and move on to the next one. Alright, here we are, game 2, Sigismar and Wingspan. After that spectacular punt in game 1, we've had a bit of a break. We've come back. And we're up against another Lara deck in Aurak and Kibble. Alright, so we'll expect some big spells out of them. What have we got here? I think that's the pretty straightforward choice here. We can play the Gatekeeper turn 1. Ozma Cadets turn 2. See one card deeper if they don't interfere with our board. The unfortunate thing is, with the way Ozma is templated, after she got changed, we're going to have to get rid of 2 cards out of reserve, so I suppose we'll just have to hope that something good is in the future for us. A 1-drop to play alongside the Gatekeeper would smooth everything out. There you go. We'll trade 1 for 1 here. Now, knowing that they had played that and got the single boost instead of the double, had we played the Gatekeeper on the other side, we actually would have advanced. But that's okay. We were not to know. Two cards in reserve for them. The Rune Scribe is nice. No, we didn't get the 1-drop that we wanted, so if we and at least one of the 2 drops that we have to play are likely to force us to put some stuff into the bin. I think the Ozma is a bit too difficult to trigger here. We'll play slow. I think we just play the Gatekeeper out here to make sure we don't have to send any cards away. Sorry. We'll pass the turn here because we have nothing to play. And see if they wish to play the last card in their hand. They can play a 2-drop if they wish. The Martingale would let them do so. However, I'm not sure what could be gotten, what could be achieved by doing that. Ah, they get their counter, so they get to play something off the top of their deck next turn. Gift of Self and Paper Herald are interesting here. Two, three, four, five. So we'll keep the Paper Herald around because that sort of rounds out our curve. We've got three 2-drops. I think we'll keep the cadets around, the extra. They play a niece for free. Which side do they play it? Ah, interesting. They don't get the hand ability there. Yeah. Okay. We're going to play the Orders Cadets on this side with the Trickster. See what they choose to do with their remaining mana. Now we could both... We could choose to both double advance here. Playing the Order Spy against the Niece would mean we move ahead on both sides, unless they have a 1-drop, but they can't stop us from doing that anyway. Presumably the only 1-drop they play is Martingale. So I think we'll get rid of the Kaibara. Thankfully they did not play that off the top. We'll pass the turn. And we'll see what they have for us next turn. Everything's still even. Unfortunately, this is a very good spot for their 2 little guys that have no stats in brown. We'll get rid of the Orders Cadets here. Same choice that we had last turn, but we'll make a different one because we've got the Cadets in reserve. We've also got access to the Order Spy, creating more tokens. So they'll get their 2 performance tokens if they just play the 2 nieces. So what our objective is to try and win against that, because they will presumably wish to get their performance counters. That's a very high variance play. They could get anything out of there. Interesting choice. Can we do anything with that information though? So we'll play the Runescribe here, get our resupply, get access to a monolith. Might be a bit late for that, but I'm not sure. See what we can do. And if they choose to pass, If they choose to pass, I think we pop the gift of self off. Are they going to sleep our order spy? The rune scribe. So that doesn't actually achieve anything for them. Although what it does do is it actually lets us play the Paper Herald and win on this side, which is good for us. We keep the gift of self in hand, but going ahead on expeditions is spicy here, especially when they have to get rid of a bunch of cards. What shall they choose? I think our opponent probably should have targeted one of our characters in the companion expedition. In that instance, let's see. We're probably not playing the monolith, and we have enough to play everything else out of hand if we want to. The teamwork training sees play as well. Or do we higher roll and hope that we get another creature out of this gift of self? Let's see. They have the first player. They can play a Resmeralda. A 0/2/2, if I remember correctly. Yeah, so they get the full stats out of that one. Still a little behind. They play a Tanuki. Get rid of the monolith. We play the Paper Herald support ability. These shuffle around a lot, so be very careful when you're selecting these, but we're going to play one on the companion side. We'll cast Teamwork Training on the Tanuki. And if they wish to replay that one to stop us from moving forward, they can, but they can really only stop us from moving forward on one side here, which we like to see. We're happy about that. My thoughts so far through the video and the couple of games we've played, I have played a few off camera as well, and I feel like perhaps the meta at the moment is a little too fast for us to... Oh. No, we're only in green, so our alchemist only creates 3 power on that side. So we could stop them from moving forward. Which I am considering doing, actually. We control a token, so we make 2 tokens. We will not discard a card to reserve, as it doesn't achieve anything. The Alchemist can only add a token to the other side, and we're already winning there. Gives us a bit more breathing room. But back to my point. I feel like the meta, the games that I've been playing have been a little bit too fast for the Monolith and the Orders Carrier. Obviously, they're really good as a way to set yourself up early. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So if we get rid of the Foundry mechanic, we can play everything. Which we will be doing as soon as possible. We get to go first. So we're going to play... I'm going to play as much as we can into one side and see if they can stop us. I don't believe Lyra has access to Celebration Day. Interesting, a Shenlong. Do we not? Oh. Okay, so I was thinking if we played everything out, we can get 6 creatures on board and actually bounce it. But I'm pretty sure, seeing what they have in hand, we can just do this and end the game. Alright, there you go. Nearly got a bit too complicated for myself, but... Excuse me? They're really making him discard before... Yeah, there you go. Alright. GG's to our opponent. We did get away with that one. Didn't get to showcase the Orders Carriers or the Monoliths. But that was not a bad one. At least the deck worked as intended. We got to use Gift of Self, which was nice. Alright. On to Game 3. See you soon. Alright, here we are. Game 3 of the Siggy video. Let's check it out and see how we do. We are up against Lindaway and Moore. Teamwork training is going to be good here. We can always get rid of the Moore token if and we can. So we're going to look for that. Alright, our opponent is on the play. We can get an early Orders Carrier down. We may have to get rid of one of our sabotages. Then our other options are Gift of Self or Rune Scribe. I think we'll trust in the Gift of Self, give it a chance to shine. It is one of the cards we're trying to showcase today. We'll see what our opponent wants to do with their first turn. So if they play... Oh. Okay, they play... They play a 1-drop here, so they likely have something else to drop as well, which means we're going to be giving up. We're tied in 1, so at most... Oh, no, there you go, they did have it. Alright, that's pretty cool. Giving up the two expeditions to start. We'll see how we go after this. Our Orders Carrier is not comfortable sitting in its little seat there. Very interesting visual bug. Alright, that's too many Gifts of Self. Okay. think we'll drop the paper herald here. Unfortunately, this may be a situation where we have to teamwork training the token. So we're going to do that because what it does is it means they don't get a sacrifice off the Moth Lantern unless they want to sacrifice the more token. Obviously they have other cards in hand, so that's just one line that we've stopped them from taking. Give our opponent some time to think about what they want to do instead, because I feel like we would have just seen the same turn over again. If they play the Maw and then the Moth Lantern in it, they can stop us from advancing in one. But we'll get one back and set ourselves up for the future. It's an interesting spot because obviously using a real card. There you go. So they did have the Moonlight Jellyfish in hand, so not only will they get to go ahead twice, they will also get to draw a card, and we're very far behind very early on. I believe we'll see the same play out of our opponent at the end of this, except they can't make the Maw token. I'll highlight Lindaway again there. So they have to pay 1 to create the Maw token if they're going second. So in order to create the Maw, pay the 1. They would not be able to play the Moth Lantern any longer. So probably won't see more. We'll see the Moth Lantern, they'll draw their card, make a token. We can recoup some cards here with the Gift of Self. Doesn't seem like the kind of matchup for Sticky Note Seal. Okay, so they get to draw this turn. My apologies. I'm expecting to see the Moonlight Jellyfish come out of them first up. We talked about it before, but 1 drops as a pseudo after you effect. Probably into the Hero Expedition. And I believe in response we're going to drop the Orders Carrier. go, much more well-behaved orders carrier. Second moonlight jellyfish. Now which side do we want to play the paper herald on? If we put it on the hero side, if they have a sacrifice effect in hand, we'll be giving up only one expedition because they'll have to get rid of one of the jellyfish. Do that. Cast Gift of Self. Alright, no sacrifice from them. They move forward. We've got our 2 orders carriers up and running. Got our extra 2 cards in hand. Teamwork training is just what we were looking for. Now we can play teamwork training, orders cadets, and orders charge, sorry, if we get rid of the orders spy. However, this may be a situation. Off you go is not great from reserve. So I'm wondering if we just hold on to our cards here. Play orders cadets, and what that does is it minimizes how much value they get out of their moonlight jellyfish. Cast teamwork training on it, and that'll most likely balk a lot of their turn. There's a gift of self from them. Baba's Isba to draw a card. They have we have evened it up. Interesting choice here. So if we go up to 6, we can once again play 3 cards, but if we get rid of the Ozma, we also have the option of playing Spy and Foundry Mechanic. We have the option of playing a Spy here. If they play another creature, do we want to get rid of the Off You Go though? I think we do. Doesn't really do much for us this turn, but it does protect us on later turns. have the option of playing charge this turn as well. They have no second creature. Hey, Baba Yaga. There you go. I think trading 2 for 1 is actually good here. So they can't advance with the Maw, even if they sacrifice the Baba Yaga. It would just stop us from moving forward. I think that keeping us 1 away may have been a good idea. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We don't need to, but we'll get rid of the sticky note seal. I don't expect to see anything large out of our opponent. This is a pretty good amount of stats on the board. So we'll play the Order Spy, get 2 bodies. That's an extra 2 power. On the board with the charge, which we like. We'll be playing the Foundry Mechanic next, even though we're not playing in blue as an additional body. Just to counter this side. What will mess us up? A Kraken's Wrath? That would be pretty devastating. But we have only 1 play available to us, so we're taking the avenue to maximize stats. Kraken's Wrath costs 5. Blizzard also costs 5. Let's see. And exhaust them, and we'll just play our charge. They can't do anything, but it doesn't hurt. Alright, we'll pass the turn. There you go, that one was pretty quick. Definitely a notable difference in this game to the other two. Mostly having those 2 Orders carriers out sort of let us catch up on board against them more. Teamwork training was obviously very big for us. I mentioned that at the start of the game, and it's nice to see that prediction come to fruition. And we had a good spot for Gift of Self as well. Alrighty, nice one. Quick game's a good game. And we're done. Onto the debrief. See you there. Alrighty, and there you have it. There's our 3 games done with our Sigismar and Wingspan deck post Baba Yaga ban. Pretty happy with it, except for one big thing. I mentioned it at the time, but we threw that first game quite spectacularly. I thought before I talked about how the deck goes that I would cover how that worked. Just because it's a good learning experience, and the lesson we can probably take out of it is to think a little bit in those sort of moments. You've got the time, you may as well use it. Whether it's by an inch or a mile, or you have 10 seconds on the clock, or 2 minutes. As long as you win, it's time well spent. So, we made it to the tiebreaker. We had a small lead from our opponent sleeping a card, so we just sort of needed to hold on there. And with the Katagirian Alchemist in hand, we sent an Orders Carrier to the Mana Zone. Very quickly, I must say. I feel like I didn't think about it for too long and probably could have done a bit of a better job thinking through how the turn was going to look. And had I done that, I would have found the line that I'm about to talk about. So, with the Alchemist, you always get your 2 recruits unless someone gets rid of your Sigismar token, but you've also got the option to put a card from hand in reserve to make another Orders Recruit. Obviously, which side you play it on doesn't matter in the tiebreaker. It's just about, flat stats, who's got more, who's is bigger. And our opponent pipped us in the end with a couple of sleep effects. However, we made the fatal mistake of putting the Orders Carrier into the mana zone, which ended up being a mistake because we finished the turn with an extra mana in hand. So we went down a card for no reason, and we would have had an extra 2 power on the board from our Orders Recruit after playing the Monolith. Mathing it out, I believe after sleep we ended up with 666 stats, or 18 on the board, and our opponent beat us with a count of 6, 9, and 8. So 14 plus 9 is 23, so we lost by 5. And with the Monolith out on the field, our Orders Recruit would have been worth 2, 2, 2, or 6, taking us up to 24. Very close game. Can't be too upset considering what a big blunder we made at the end there. But I thought I'd just run through that one for everybody, you know. So don't be like me. Think through your turns. Don't think cards are useless just because you don't have the mana to play them. You build your decks the way you build them, and reading the cards tends to help in those moments. So make sure you take your time. Board Game Arena is very forgiving with the amount of time that you get on your clock. So make sure you're using it and thinking through your lines. I'm usually pretty good, a little bit sick. Probably could have thought about it a bit better. Now, onto the deck. There is a very big difference in how this deck plays on whether you get out an early Orders Carrier or Monolith. Feels like it is almost a side duke to play into that. If you have it open as an option, it's definitely the better thing to do early on if you get value out of both of those cards, but then later on they become a little bit useless. Obviously, if you're only 1 or 2 turns away from ending the game, the extra token you get from the carrier is less valuable. The Monolith usually pretty good. You're making a lot of fatty tokens, and buffing them up is always good. Gift of Self felt really good. We found spots where we could play it and giving up nothing that we weren't giving up already. So early earner sort of discounted this card when looking at it because, and this is on me, I was playing the card early in my turn and sort of sacrificing the token early in order to just draw the cards, but using it late definitely makes it feel a lot better, so try and find spots for that. The 3 Foundry mechanics do a pretty good Ordis Trooper rare impression, with the option of reducing the cost of your permanents as well. The Gatekeeper felt pretty good too. It's not like an outrageously off the wall choice I've made there, but it did help. Other ones you can consider a Kokoba if you're not expecting a lot of removal out of your opponent. Obviously, getting the 5 stats out of the Kokoba rare instead of the 3 you get for the Ordis Gatekeeper when not in conjunction with charge would be better. Synergies like that are good, but obviously just playing, plain stats is good, but also it opens itself up to removal a little bit as well. I don't think this Baba Yaga is the best card, but doing it for the bit, it's nice seeing Grandma turn up every now and again with a pack of biscuits. And obviously she plays into the making fatties as well. That was really fun. I enjoyed that. This is the first deck I ever built. Obviously, that it has the added advantage of being a starter deck, so it's a good launching point for a lot of people to play, and hopefully they have a soft spot in their heart. Definitely felt the Baba Yaga being gone. Monolith, Runescribe, and Ozma just don't really do that good an impression. If I were to change the deck around here. I think the next time we showcase this one, hopefully it's not too far away. So get subbing if you haven't already. I appreciate it all. But I think we might try a permanentless list. So taking out all of these, adding in a few cards from Trial by Frost, and if it's obviously far enough down the track, maybe Whispers of the Maze as well. There's a few bangers in there that will move around. Sticky Note Seal is important for some of the matchups. We didn't get to showcase it today, and I think the BGA meta that we're seeing at the moment is quite fast paced. So a lot of stuff that's low to the ground. We had the opportunity in the second game, but we did not have to use it. We ended up just winning around their Shenlong, I believe it was. So we'll keep jigging with it. We'll see you next time. It's been really fun. Hopefully you picked up a few play patterns out of that time. The next time I see you, if we can jam a few games in paper, that would be nice. Alrighty, love your work. See you next time. Hope you have a good one. Bye.